So, welcome everyone. I'm so happy to moderate this amazing panel with this professional academic panelist on the stage. Let's start from introducing myself. He's been the founder of Catan Digital Platform, and I will be introducing our greatest panelist over here, Mr. Dara Sherwani. Do you want to give a brief about yourself?
Work? Can they hear me? Yes, yes. Welcome everyone to the last panel. I assume it's Friday and people are busy having lunch or sleeping. That's why we don't have a big audience, but it's never about the quantity. It's always the quality. So I am Dara Shirwani, the head or the chair of Computer Science Department at the American University of Kurdistan that is located in The Hook. And at the same time, I have my own consultancy firm, which is called Skills House, that specializes in research and training services.
Yes, should we welcome him by a clap?
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Let's go to Mr. Kalyan.
Hi, good afternoon. So I represent an organization called as Acronis. We are into cybersecurity. So our job is to protect your data, intellectual property, or any personal files, folders, or the official data that you every day generated on your mobiles or laptops or your companies. So we have our gold partner here, Avesta. So I'm on behalf of them. And in this panel, I think we will throw some light into how to protect your data.
Welcome, Mr. Kalyan, all the way from Dubai. Mr. Ahmed, welcome.
مهندس أحمد شاكر مسؤول قسم النطاق العراقي في هيئة الإعلام والاتصالات. يعني نرحب نتمنى أن تتكرر في مثل هكذا محافل للفائدة تعود للشركات والمؤسسات الحكومية وللأفراد إن شاء الله.
Welcome again from Baghdad. So we will start our panel by asking them questions about the subject that we're going to talk about it today, which is copyright in tech life. So Mr. Dara, what's copyright and how it is in our community?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to give a background before everything. So I think every tech company or any company overall will have two main types of assets or properties. One of these is called physical properties. These are the computers, the space, the offices, the cars, and obviously physical properties. These are tangible properties, so they're very easy to protect. A server, for example, a physical server is an example of a physical property that a tech company can have. The second type of property that is intangible is visible, that we can see it, we can make benefits from it, but it's intangible. This is referred to as intellectual property. Intellectual property usually is the outcome of applying creativity and work to come up with something new, regardless of the medium, that needs to be protected by a company in order for the company to sustain competitive advantage and they can create revenue and grow in the future. So overall, every tech company has four types of intellectual property. The first one is referred to as trademark. Trademark is the identity that the company uses in order to trade. For example, Nike, their check is their trademark. Number two is called the copyright. Copyright applies to anything that is audio or visual. So for example, music is copyright content. Website content, that is copyright. The third type, which is more abstract, it's called patent. Patent refers to the ID. It has to be unique. It has to be innovative and novel, that a company needs to protect so that nobody else copies this ID. And the fourth type of intellectual property is called trade secret. Trade secret is a piece of information that is essential to the success of a company, and it should not be accessed by outside or other external parties. So today what we are going to discuss is to find out how tech startups or even how big tech companies, how can they protect their intellectual property? How can they protect their trademarks? How can they protect their content, regardless of the medium? How can they protect the IDs behind their software applications? And what are the laws that exist in order to provide this protection? And maybe we can cover some detailed tips on how startups can secure this property in order they will not be harmed by companies that come from outside or companies that may steal their IDs. So this is what we plan to cover today.
Mr. Dara, thanks a lot for giving us this brief about the copyright and the types of it. I would love to ask a question from Mr. Kalian about how we can protect this copyright and how should we keep the innovation that we did from the third parties by protecting them.
Right. So a creative content, an idea is not a sole proprietary of anyone. An idea can come for two people at the same time or a group of companies at the same time, right? So who registers the idea first? That's what matters. Now you see a piece of land, you like it, you try to register it before you construct the building, right? The same way, for a thought, for an idea, you need to first register it. Now the registry, the word of registering can change from country to country and government to government. The best part of it is to at least have a notary of your idea. It can be a tech idea, it can be a music bit, or it can be a film bit. So we as a company, we started this protection in the times of lockdown when we had a couple of years back. So we call it as a notary cloud. So you got a piece of idea, you want to put it onto digital, that is, you want to put it online, and you want to protect it from imitation, people who want to hack your idea. The best part of it is to just upload the content into the cloud. We give you a certificate that this is the content, this is not copied from any other source in the World Wide Web, and this is the time, and this is the user who has uploaded this content.
Okay.
After this content is gone to the World Wide Web, if anyone tries to change it or imitate it, you get a notification that this file has been changed once or twice or thrice. The other word for this is also called as blockchain. You use the same blockchain for your creative ideas and your content. So it's copyright or a trade secret or a patent, anything, first notarize it. And we are here to help you on that.
Okay, thanks a lot for your comment. Mr. Ahmed, as you are supervisor of communication IQ in Baghdad, what does the government is doing for this issue and how they provide rules to protect copyright of the companies and places?
طبعا هو موضوع الملكية الفكرية هي من المواضيع المهمة جدا وتشكل تحدي كبير جدا بالنسبة للمؤسسات الحكومية وللشركات، ولكن يمكن بأنه يعني هنالك طرق بالإمكان بأنه نقلل هذا التحدي، ألا وهو تسجيل الشركات وتسجيل الملكية الفكرية في المؤسسات سواء كانت محلية أو على المستوى العالمي. الشيء الثاني موضوع وضع سياسات لكل شركة موجودة في سواء كان القطاع الخاص أو الحكومة، سياسات تخص الموظفين، كيفية الحفاظ على سرية المعلومات اللي موجودة في تلك الشركة والمؤسسات. النقطة رقم 3 اللي هي حماية البيانات من الاختراق، ولا هو وضع سياسات خاصة بالسايبر سيكيورتي. يعني مهم جدا بأنه لكل شركة أو لكل مؤسسة هنالك أمور تنظيمية وأمور تخص حماية البيانات.
Okay.
النقطة رقم 4 ألا وهي ممكن بأنه لكل شركة تهتم في وضع أو لديها مشروع معين لا يمكن الإفصاح للمشروع بالكامل والحفاظ على المعلومات اللي موجودة، ممكن بأنه فقط وضع رؤوس أقلام لتلك البروجكت وحماية الملكية الفكرية عن طريق تسجيلها بالمؤسسات الحكومية.
Do you think that companies, when they have problems and they come to the government to solve their problems, is the government like responding in a legal way to their problems, or are they providing them some solution for the work and the problem that they have, the issues, or it's only the work over a paper?
You'd like me to answer this?
I asked Mr. Ahmed, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Dr. Dara. We'll come to you for a harder question.
Sorry.
You're fine.
موضوع الملكية الفكرية موضوع توجد هنالك في المؤسسات الحكومية تسجيل اسم الشركة في الغرف التجارية أما موضوع الملكية الفكرية حاليا هنالك سياسة وضعت لوضع قوانين وشروط لحماية الملكية الفكرية. عندنا في هيئة الإعلام والاتصالات نعمل على وضع رخصة لكل شخص يعني بالإمكان بأنه يبيع البروجكت مالته ويبيع السوفت وير، فهنالك رخصة بالإمكان يستخدمها هاي في التداول مع المؤسسات الحكومية اللي موجودة عندنا.
Yeah, amazing. So, Dr. Dara, Mr. Ahmed talked about تسجيل شركات and registration of the companies. Worldwide, there's something called the trademark.
Yes.
How much we follow this technology and how applicable it is in the community, and what is trademark actually?
All right. So a trademark here, and it's the identity of a company. Okay, whether this is visual or textual.
No.
As I mentioned, Nike, for example, the check sign is their identity. Google, they write their name, but in different colors. That is identity. The first step that any company needs to do is to register this identity. For companies, now this is something that I have to highlight here. If a company is operating in Kurdistan region of Iraq, they have to register this trademark at either the Erbil Chamber of Commerce or the Hague or Suli Chambers of Commerce. However, if the company wants to have this protection and they want to operate in federal Iraq or the rest of the country, they have to do the same registration in Baghdad.
Like,
because the database in Baghdad, yes.
I'm sorry, like they have to do it twice, one in KRG and another one in Baghdad. Yeah?
Especially because if they want to operate in Iraq, if they want to operate the database of trademarks of the Kurdistan region of Iraq is not connected to the database of trademarks in Iraq. So for companies to have full protection of their own identity, they must register in both Kurdistan region of Iraq as well as federal Iraq.
I understand. Thanks a lot. Mr. Kalyar, I want to ask you a question about this data which we collect from the companies and innovations, how they are protected. Is there the third party which they steal this information from one service and they take it to another? How clients can be sure that their data is saved and protected? As you are working in an agency which you guys have clouds and keep the data, can you like give an explanation to the subject, please?
So, as I said, a copyright or a piece of creation, it has to be protected. Now, one example I can tell you is how sensitive it is. In 2022, there was a company called as Lockbit, right? Now, this company has sent mails to most of the people who are in the creative fields or researchers, developers, scientists. The subject of the mail was, you have a copyright infringement. So we have found that these are the list of things that you have copied in your creation or whatever. And you have to open this PDF file and it'll give you the list of things you need to delete. So people opened this PDF file and they were hacked or they were attacked and their personal information was taken out and they were blackmailed that you have to give us this much of money or else we release this data online. Now, that's the sensitivity of copying another's idea or implementing some specific bullet points of someone's idea into your creation or whatever. Now, this is the time where Acronis has come forward saying that fine, most everything is digital nowadays, from schools to colleges to universities, everything is digital. Even a person who wants to write on a piece of paper his own idea has to scan it or retype it and send it to the publishers or investors to invest on that idea. So it is going online one way or the other, whether we like it or we don't like it.
Okay.
Now, this document, when the idea is sent, needs to have a proof that it is sent by you, sent at this time, received by the sender, by the receiver at this time. Until you don't have the timestamp and acknowledgement, no court of law in any part of the world accepts it. Especially only few countries today accept the online documents as a proof also. So at this kind of a situation, it's always better to notarize to your ideas, send it to the right person, take an acknowledgement, save it in the cloud for future references. Do we have a time limit? No. You can save it in the cloud until our company exists or your document exists, whatever comes first. So, and second thing is protecting this document against attack and deletion, accidental deletion. So we give something called as active protection, wherein only you and only you can modify this data, no one else. Even if someone hacks the data, the document changes it, puts his own signature, puts his own timestamp, it will be a second document, but not the first. So the first document is yours.
I want to have a comment there. I'm sorry, you're talking like you say this only with the access of or the approval of the person you can share the data. What if this data had been hacked? What will happen? What is the punishment internationally?
So we call the first copy as a backup, right?
Okay.
It's a backup of the original copy. So the original copy is always there. You have a backup, and then the backup is hacked.
Okay.
So you have the original, you can still go ahead and upload it once again. So the best part of a backup company is the copy that you're sending to the cloud is the second copy, not the first. The first is always with you, second copy is in the cloud, and then third, you can always keep it in a vault, whatever it is. Now, whoever notarizes it first is their idea. You can be an Einstein or you can be a Nikola Tesla. Whoever notarizes their idea, publishes it, is the first creator of that idea.
I get it. Thanks a lot. So how is this data collection with us, Mr. Data, in KRI?
So in KRI, what they have done, one of the most recent laws that they actually passed was in regard to copyright protection. In 2012, the KRG did pass the first law that protects the copyright of companies. Therefore, all copyrighted content is actually attributed or appropriated to their authors. That was done in an attempt to encourage young people, to encourage startups to feel the safety that their data is actually protected. As long as there is law, then people will feel free to come up with new ideas, with innovative ideas, and furthermore, in the future, potentially file these ideas because the legal system does protect this. We have very similar law in Baghdad as well. That was passed in 2003. It's also about copyright protection. Now, the content is very similar. Okay, so something, for example, let's say a music production company, they share a song or like a video clip, whatever it is. As long as copyrighted, there's evidence that they have the copyright of this, that they produced it, that the company will own this. The punishment is different. And in Baghdad, the punishment is harder than the punishment in Erbil. So in Baghdad, if someone infringes in terms of copyright infringement, the fine is between 100 to 200 million Iraqi dinar, and the jail will be up to 10 years, right? So it's either one of these two.
That's a lot.
Yes, exactly, right? And in Kurdistan, I think we're more flexible with this. So the fine is between $50 to $1,300, and the jail can be up to 1 year. So if someone is proven to steal the copyright of an entity or even a person, they will be subject to these punishments. Yes.
Okay, great. Mr. Ahmed, about this kind of punishments that they are out there for the subject of copyright, don't you think we should start doing some awareness about the ethics of protecting one brand's copyright? Do you think this kind of ethics should be taught in universities, academic places, or such as the trainings in public areas? How can we do this awareness and teach our youth to protect or respect the original thing and don't fake it?
نعم. موضوع الكوبي رايت يعني من المواضيع المهمة جدا. يجب على المؤسسات الحكومية أن تضع في الحسبان بأنه رقم واحد الجانب التوعوي. يعني أنا أفضل بأنه تكون لكل المناهج الموجودة في المدارس على أقل تقدير بأنه يكون جانب توعوي في مواضيع السايبر سيكيورتي، مواضيع الارتفيشال انتليجنس، مواضيع الكوبي رايت، حتى يتم تثقيف المجتمع الى ان يصل بانه موضوع يصير موضوع ثقافه مجتمع وليست موضوع بأنه أنا أقدر أخذ الموضوع السوفت وير هو مجاني أفضل ما أشتري هذا السوفت وير أو أخذ هذه الملكية الفكرية. فمن المفروض يكون هناك جانب توعوي بالدرجة الأساس. الدرجة الثانية، النقطة رقم 2 اللي هو موضوع القوانين والتشريعات على الحكومة وعلى المؤسسات الحكومية أن تضع قوانين وتشريعات خاصة ومحدثة دوريا. بالتالي لا يجب أن تكون، بما أنه وجود هنالك لوائح وقواعد وتشريعات، يجب أن تكون هناك تطبيق لتلك اللوائح وتطبيق بوضع قوانين صارمة لكل من يخترق تلك سرقة الملكية الفكرية وملكية بالأخص الملكية الرقمية، يعني اللي تخص المشاريع سواء كانت الستارت اب أو كانت الشركات الموجودة في العراق.
Okay, so Mr. Kalyan, is in your company there is opportunities for startup businesses to start their work in tech sector and teach them about the copyright and also how to innovate and create new projects in tech section?
Yep. So,
The voice?
right. So,
Okay.
when it comes to data protection and when it comes to how we take care of your data, the company is well prepared, and this is what we do. Any form of data, it can be your own idea or a music file or a picture. The company itself, when you go into the portal, when you become a partner or when you become a subscriber, we give you the best practices for every kind of data, right? If it is a picture, what kind of protection you need to implement when you back up. So that steps of what kind of protection is always mentioned, and you can just blindly follow. So you have 2 copies always. If there is any change here, it happens here. And if it is a piece of information that you want to store it forever, what kind of protection has happened. So from a new user to the most experienced IT person, the software is designed in such a way that you have options to choose and save your data.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is great. So, Mr. Dara, as an academic person that you are working in universities, I want to ask, how can we teach this copyright protection ethics? What are the ways that are applicable to the Kurdistan region?
I think overall the curriculum, the higher education curriculum, particularly in Kurdistan and the entire country, if we talk about computer science, computing degrees overall, they very much are focused on the technical qualifications that people can get by the end of graduation. So we teach a lot of programming, we teach design, we teach testing, while we must admit at the same time there is a gap in the curriculum that focuses on the ethical aspect of IT. One of these ethical aspects is data privacy, okay? Now, since we are moving towards digitization, whether in private sector or the public sector, there is very little known about where is our data stored, who has access to our data. So, for example,
So this is a good thing. Where is our data stored?
well, that's one of the questions that we need to find out the answers to. So, for example, if I use Talabat, that is a company, well, of course, it's welcome to come and operate here, but we don't know where is the data of our users are stored and who has access to this data and what is it used for, and is this data shared with another organization, a third party or not, and why would they share this? So overall here, whether we talk about the education sector or the legal framework, yes, we're lacking this, but we're not going to say, I don't want to be pessimistic and we say we don't have these things. We actually, because part of solving the problem, the first step of solving the problem is to identify what the problem is,
Exactly.
and that we can learn from examples in the region. So I'm going to tell you that Saudi Arabia is one of the countries that are most strict when it comes to data privacy. According to the Saudi Arabia policies and regulations, any tech startup that collects any data of Saudi residents, okay, anyone lives in Saudi. So if Talabat operates there in Saudi, they have, according to the law, to keep the data there. The government has to have access to this data all the time, and they have to know what happens to this data. Another example, if we go a bit more global, we can talk about Facebook. Facebook operates in EU for a very long while, but you know Facebook cannot take out the data of their European users out to the United States. Because what happens with these countries, they already have realized the importance of data. Data is in so many papers you would read, data is the new oil. If you do data mining, now we have artificial intelligence and therefore you can do data mining. And when you have too much data about a country, that might be actually categorized as a national security issue that we really need to look into way deeper and take some action.
Yeah.
The policies and regulations on paper, they're very good. So even if we have these, I think the gentleman here mentioned we have so many policies and regulations in Baghdad, which is good. But let's not forget, this is only on paper. What we really need here is effective and efficient mechanisms of how to implement these policies in a way that is effective and efficient. So let's say tomorrow we have a policy or regulation that requires all tech startups to keep all the data of Iraqi users within Iraq. The data doesn't leave. But now, okay, let's talk about a mechanism. How can we make sure the data is there? Because what is data? Data is one email file or one digital file that can be transmitted from one user to another at any point of time, right? So I think if we have the regulations, a next step would be to actually educate decision makers who are involved in the legal framework on how to tackle these situations, how to monitor these situations, and how to make the correct decision making. There was a court case in Erbil a while ago of someone whose Instagram account was hacked and this person was bullied for XY reason. And one of the issues that the lawyers struggled with is that the judge himself or herself was not able to articulate how do these things work. What is Instagram? The judge actually was not aware of what Instagram is and how to resolve this issue. And when a judge does not have that kind of education or skills, we don't want the judge to study computer science. No, that's not efficient. But we want to give them the efficient training, the effective and efficient training, so that they will be able to evaluate these cases in the most objective way and make the right decisions. So rules and regulations are good, but implementing these rules and regulations are one of the very challenging issues. A while ago, I gave a training to a delegation from Baghdad and a group of decision makers in Erbil on e-governance. And I must say, we have done incredible progress in terms of e-governance, whether in Baghdad, whether in KRG, and the ambitious plan of going fully digital in 2025 has all the support of everyone who has been struggling from the bureaucracy of processes. Things take long. You have to take a bunch of papers with you to every single department that you go to, whether in Erbil or Baghdad or any other place in Iraq. That is very good. But what about the policies and regulations? What is going to happen to the data of the citizens? Because when we talk about the data of citizens, we're talking about very potential risks that may actually risk the livelihood or the lives of these citizens, whether these are health, whether these are address information, whether these are contact details. In a place that is, we see security issues or incidents happen once a while, maybe they're not that frequent, but maybe if the contact details or the address details of a citizen who is a stakeholder of Ministry of Health is accessed by the wrong person, would lead to fatal damages. Yes, it's a scenario that doesn't happen to anyone, but as long as the possibility exists, even if this possibility is less than 1%, if it's 0.001%, we're talking about the lives of people, right? So we need to have the policies and the right education in place so that we store the data of citizens and users in safe places. And we have to manage what these companies are doing with our data. Where is our data going? Where is it being stored? Is it being sold or not? And who has full access to this data?
Amazing. Thank you very much. Mr. Ahmed, are we ready enough to welcome the e-government system? Are we professional enough to know how to solve the problems of technology while we are changing our paper routine life of the government to the electronic one? I'm talking generally about the whole Iraq.
يعني عفوا بانه وضع التشريعات والقوانين للمؤسسات الحكوميه وتطبيقها على المستوى المحلي، يجب ان يكون هنالك تعاون مع المؤسسات الدوليه بالاضافه الى ذلك. يعني مثلا موضوع الكوبي رايت، انتهاك الحقوق في الدوله المعينه احتمال ما تطبق في دوله اخرى، تمام؟ فموضوع الانتهاك بالإضافة إلى الشركات اللي راح تتأثر في سمعتها الملكية الفكرية في حال إذا ضررت الخسائر المادية لتلك الشركة أو للمؤسسة في حال إذا تعرضت لسرقة أفكارها. فإن المفروض جميع القوانين الموجودة في الحكومة اللي يجب أن تطبق بالكامل بالتعاون مع المنظمات الدولية. هناك يعني لازم أكون توازن بيناتهم. تثقيف الموظفين هاي من الضروريات أصبحت يعني. موضوع السايبر سيكيورتي هذا من الضروري جدا، بأن موضوع السايبر سيكيورتي موجود لكل مؤسسة لكل شركة. تثقيف الجانب حفظ البيانات
Who
الموجودة.
is following these rules of cybersecurity? Is there anyone or any governmental community that they are supervising the cybersecurity safety in the places? Like someone to follow up what's going on with the cybersecurity?
هو للأسف يعني موضوع السايبر سيكيورتي يحتاج إلى توعية من قبل الموظفين، في يعني يحتاج لهم فد عقل متفتح للمضي بهذا الموضوع. شيء ثاني توفير البنية التحتية لكل المؤسسات من ناحية الأجهزة ومن ناحية التقنيات الحديثة. موضوع السايبر سيكيورتي موضوع جدا حساس مع الموضوع الكوبي رايت يعني. لحد الآن يعني حتى نسعى الآن يكون موضوع سايبر سيكيورتي من الاهتمامات لكل المؤسسات الحكومية. وموضوع الكوبي رايت وموضوع التحول الرقمي يحتاج إلى قرار سيادي لتطبيق هذه التشريعات، ويحتاج إلى جرأة وشجاعة من كل مؤسسة موجودة عندنا، ويحتاج إلى موظف لديه الإمكانية ولديه القدرة للتثقيف. يعني لازم يتعلم يعني ضروري.
Yeah, so true. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Dara, do you have any comment?
No, I think so. Basically, how ready we are for the digital transformation. I think the technology. I mean, when we are going to transfer digitally, we're not talking about inventions. We don't need inventions. E-government systems have existed in other countries, but we need to develop systems that match our requirements by relying on learning from good experiences. But whether we are ready for this transformation in terms of cybersecurity or the privacy of data, this is something that we are actually, that we haven't paid much attention to. We're not ready because of multiple reasons. First of all, there might be some policies, abstract policies that apply, but the application of these policies, we don't know how we can apply these policies. Number two, I was having this conversation with a gentleman from a cybersecurity company called Protect. We don't have the workforce that actually is on the first row here. We don't have the workforce that is ready to secure. We have the workforce that is ready to build these systems, but we don't have the workforce that is ready to secure these systems. So imagine that you go to a car dealership and you buy a car, but you don't have any brakes. You know the car is gonna go, right? You know you have some basic things, but when you don't know when to stop, or sometimes even worse, when the car breaks down, what are you going to do later on, right? So when we talk about cybersecurity, it's a very fruitful discussion that I had a while ago. We're talking about different levels. Yes, the gentleman mentioned decision makers, high levels, but we also have to think, do we have actually enough people, young graduates, computer science or TVET graduates who can actually secure these applications to us?
Yeah.
Right, that is, yeah, I don't think we're ready for this yet.
Yeah, I hope one day we will be,
Yes.
and then as soon as possible. So, Mr. Kalian, how can we make a balance between not stopping the creativity and then the copyright? Because sometimes it feels like if you take this idea, it's copyright thing, and people think like we cannot create more ideas because they will be like, this is our ideas. How can we differentiate between the innovation and copyright? Is my question clear? I'm sorry, is there something wrong with the English?
So, in terms of intellectual property and copyright protection, the most important things come from all of you is you have to be responsible in terms of the tools and the resources that you use, right? Now, a secret is a secret if it is stayed between two people, right? But today, the situation is it's not only two people, You have many, many things. Tools, free apps, applications that don't have a creator or someone who is even not even securing them. For example, there are a lot of countries where WhatsApp is banned for security reasons or for propaganda reasons or whatever it is. You can go to that extent to protect a data not to be leaked, or you can be responsible about what data and what tool you should use to transfer it. I have seen many companies which use WhatsApp groups to share their targets, achievements, profit and loss sheets. Now that's the big joke, right? Using WhatsApp for what? A tool which is protected always tells you to pay money because they are going to invest it in the R&D. A tool which is free is not going to invest on security of your data. Right? What he said is correct. Where is your data going in WhatsApp? The photos that you uploaded 2021, 2 years back, where is it? You have deleted it. Did WhatsApp delete it? Right? So it's your responsibility that how and what kind of data that you're sharing on the World Wide Web and what kind of sharing of data that you are protecting it. Always go for the tools which are protected, investing your payments on R&D and security. And then that fine balance comes not only everything can be pushed back to government. I'm sorry to say that. There are very small and tiny countries which are 100% secure in terms of having their population database, having their citizenship IDs very, very secure. It all starts from being responsible, not only from the school, the teachers, the universities, the professors, the employees, employee compliance, and this matters a lot, right? All of us who are working in a company take some certifications to be compliant to the company, not to share the data and all that. That's great, that's fine. But if you want to send a data on a Hotmail or a Gmail, anything can stop it, and that's where the IT comes into picture. Now, the IT or the firewall is not confined to a country or its regulations. If you put up a 14-net firewall, which is one of the sponsors here, it does its job, right? You do a mistake, it corrects it. No one can get into the 14-net system and say that, okay, for India, change the rule. For Japan, put this rule. It's a machine. The machine does its job practically. And we might just mend the rules a bit and go here and there, but end of the day, it is your moral responsibility to use the tools effectively and not to use those tools which are just freeware, they're just collecting your data, show the investors that I have so many subscribers, give me money, and I want to build an app. So be responsible. You have the intellectual to decide what is good and bad, do the right thing and the right way.
So we got a really positive message from your speech, which was being responsible for whatever that we are doing and putting ourselves in other person's shoes, how they want to be protected.
Absolutely.
This is message as an entrepreneur. Mr. Dara, what do you think about the same thing that we talked about, the balance between fostering innovations and also the copyright?
Okay, so I think, because I teach at university, and very often I see students who come to me, they have very good ideas. And the question is like, sometimes they even concerned when they communicate their ideas to me, they're like, I'm afraid if I tell it to others, they will just steal it and someone is going to do the same. And then they will make money and then they will be left behind. I must say that when we talk about entrepreneurs, IDs remain IDs if they are not implemented.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who comes up with the ID first. It matters who actually translates this ID from something that is in the cloud, theoretical, to something that is on the ground, right? It's not possible. So there are two things that I think startups can do. If they have great ideas, great designs, great content, they have to be the first to the market. Because that being, when you're the first to the market, you have the upper hand. People will always say, oh, that was the first person who implemented this ID. That was the first person who developed this application. So that gives you some ownership. And obviously this ownership is documented. It's published. People know it. You will have users. You will have all of these things. And parallel with this, they can work on protecting these IDs legally. Yes, true. Why I'm saying they shouldn't waste too much time on protecting the IDs legally, because the intellectual property law is very complex, it's time consuming, and it costs a lot of money. Startups, they don't have the privilege of two things. First of all, they don't have much time to hire lawyers in order to do the whole patent protection, IP protection for them. Number two, they don't have much time, right? So they don't have the money and they don't have the time. So if they waste time on, well, maybe let me rephrase this and be more politically correct, yeah? If they spend so much time on protecting the ID while not doing anything with the ID, what will end up happening, first of all, if they will require them so long time, number two, someone else may come up with the same ID somehow, coincidentally, whether the ID was leaked or not, implement this ID and be the first to the market, right? So I've been following up with Lezu closely since the beginning. They started very simple design. It was in the beginning, food on delivery, on demand service application. They were the first people to implement this idea. Okay, they had no protection. Maybe they did the trademark, but they didn't do anything else. But they were the first people to be in the market, and that gave them so much market coverage. Even if someone else comes to do the same, they will not have that market. Because even if someone comes up with a similar ID, end of the day, people do not want their phones to be populated with apps that do the same. So if users download my app and I'm the first person to have my app in their phones, that's it. They're not going to shift to something else unless if there is an added value provided by my competitor that is not provided by me. So yes, intellectual property is very important, but practically speaking, it's very time consuming. So I think what we need to do is to build this culture that, yes, you have a new ID, go out, publish it, because the only way that you are going to attract people to work with you as partners or even potential investors in your IDs is by publishing it. People are not going to guess what this idea about unless that they know about it.
I agree. While we talked about startup businesses and their copyright and entrepreneurs, I would love to see what our audience are thinking about the subject. If any one of you have questions or if you have businesses, we would love to listen from what are the problems. Please, can someone help us with the mic? Thank you very much.
Yeah, this
We already have one.
has good questions.
Yeah. Try to be like less hard question for us would be better. Okay.
What's the question?
First line, please.
Yeah. I have two questions. One for Mr. Kalyan. As users of social media, we come across some.
Can you like lower your voice? I'm so sorry.
Okay. We come across some posters on social media, which there are many fake accounts are posting Hollywood movies, which they have signed contracts with some big and giant companies to protect their copyright materials. What is preventing you from working on integrating blockchain and digital properties? And I have another question for Mr. Ahmed Shakir. 2 months ago, there was an application. It was made in Kurdistan, one of the young people here. He made the application. They asked questions, and when you answer the correct question, you will get some money or some gifts. The same app with another name was built in Baghdad. They stole the idea. The application was stored in a cloud-based website, for example, GoDaddy. He used to register his account with a fake number and fake email address. How can you prevent this? Are you going to arrest them without knowing who is the owner of the real application and the fake application? Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So the first question was for Mr. Kalyan.
I think so. Was it to me the first question? Is it to me the first question, or it's to you? Yeah. Okay.
Right. What he mentioned was, why can't we implement blockchain in applications like Facebook and Twitter, where a lot of information is leaked? Now, who takes the decision of should I put a blockchain or should I put a spyware for my data, it is me, myself. The content creator needs to be proactive enough to bundle the content with all kinds of protection. If you as a content creator don't do it, there's no third party who will come and give and take that, take the cherry on the cake saying that I will protect your content. So most of the movies, most of the content, like today, you don't find Warner Brothers anywhere copyright infringement because they have signed up with blockchain from a long time. It's even before maybe blockchain is what is available today. So they know exactly where my content is, who is duplicating it, who is reduplicating it, and who is infringing it. So certain content owners take that extra step to make sure that the content is not infringed at any given point of time. But others, the mindset is, okay, the damage is already done. I tell Facebook they will block the content, but from Facebook it is already copied to 1,000 sites. Do I care? It's the mindset, but when you start your content, you can package all these together and then release it in the World Wide Web. And that's one way to prevent it, but it's not a complete answer, it's a partial answer. Yeah. So yours.
عفوا موضوع الكوبي رايت في هيئة الإعلام والاتصالات أصبحت حاليا بأنه بالإمكان لأي شخص لديه برامج، لديه فكرة جديدة عن تطبيق معين، بالإمكان أن يعني يستلم رخصة معينة من الهيئة ويقدر يتداولها مع أي مؤسسة موجودة في العراق. موضوع حجز النطاقات الدوت اي كيو حاليا بأنه نعمل مع شركة بريطانية على حجز النطاقات أونلاين، ولكل مؤسسة ولكل شخص لديه فكرة أو لديه ملكية فكرية بالإمكان بأنه يقدم بروجكت خاص به، ندرس هذه الخطة التسويقية الخاصة به وندرس الفكرة، بالتالي نقدر نعطيه نمنح الدوت اي كيو. يعني حاليا بأنه التعاون موجود مع المؤسسات الحكومية على وضع سياسة وقواعد ولائحة خاصة بالملكية الفكرية. يعني احنا عندنا موجودة ملكية الاسم في وزارة الثقافة وملكية الاسم التجاري في الغرف التجارية، ولكن الملكية الفكرية حاليا نشتغل على وضع سياسة محددة لحسم موضوع الملكية الفكرية يعني في العراق، وده نشتغل عليها يعني طبعا.
So we would love to have some more questions. Any one of you? Here you go, please. Can someone help us with the mic? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Hello. My name is Shihab. I came from Dohuk for this
Welcome.
wonderful event. My question for Mr. Kalyan. For protection, and you said like to pay. First, before that. So you said to invest in the companies that can protect your data and backups. So first, how would I assure that my data are safe if something happens to my data from the company, the cloud you said? So what will happen then? Because you said the original ones are saved in your device, but the copied, maybe something happens to it. So personal data is like danger can happen. And it's so important to know like what will happen. In Iraq, I think like we don't have this much connection with abroad. Unfortunately, we are so far from these things. So we cannot reach or ask for our rights from abroad, these countries abroad. And thank you. For Mr. Ahmed, my question about these companies that I can pay for to protect my data. Unfortunately, Iraq is one of the late countries that, sorry for this, I know, but Iraq is so late in the way of payment. We always struggle with payment. And I had to, weeks ago, I had to pay for something abroad, and I couldn't find a way to pay for it. So how can I pay in a way that I can be like other countries to pay for my home, you know? How can I pay for a company to protect my data from my card or something? And including these
Can you
cards,
raise
yes.
your voice?
Yeah,
a
the
little bit up
cards,
for
yes.
us?
So including about the cards and these even these financial things, are they protected? Are they safe? We see like so many cards now are advertised in the markets. So we see like Zain Cash, Asia Cash, I don't know what's these things. And what do you know about these? Like, can you tell us about these things? Are they safe? Are they good? And thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot. So, Mr. Dar, I think you're resting. The questions are for Mr. Kalian and Mr. Ahmed. You have a water.
Right.
Yeah.
A good question, right? For that, how I connect it is I take a picture of all of you and I save it. Where am I saving it? On the device or on the iCloud? iCloud, right? Right. So where is iCloud? It's in Erbil, it's in Iraq, it's in India, it's in Afghanistan, where the data center. They have some 300, 400 data centers, and your photo might end up in any of the data centers randomly. But you feel it is safe to keep your photos in iCloud. Why? Because you're able to access it anytime and press it and delete it anytime, right? The accessibility differs your perception about safety and security. If I'm able to see my house in a CCTV when I'm out of the country, my house is safe. So you're able to access the data, and your accessibility changes your attitude, saying that it is safe and secure. Partly right and partly wrong. Now, for a startup, is my data secure? If that's the question, you need to check where your data is getting stored. That's most important. The address of your data, you need to choose, right? My data, 1 terabyte of data, I want to put it in a data center in Germany. You choose it, right? Is my data accessible to me 24/7? Great. Third, the place where my data is stored, is it certified as per the compliance of the government? And the fourth, do I have a contract between myself and the person who is saving my data? Have I signed it, or have I digitally signed it? And 5, is this company in this business from a long time, or it's just a startup? So all these 5 check marks, you do your check and you're fine to go ahead with a startup or an established company. So we as a company are here from 2005 doing this. We have 43 data centers across the world. All the data centers not only are regionally certified, but security standard certified, like, ISOs, the GDPRs as per the country, the PCI certifications, which is Pictures and Credits International, and whatever the security standards of the world have decided that a data center needs to have, it is all in place. We give you a contract to sign it about your data, about your deletion of data, about the kind of data that you would put into our cloud. We don't allow anything which is stolen and kept. We do our checks, and the moment your data is backed up, it's already encrypted. It's encrypted from the source. Even we cannot read it other than you, right? In between you and me, there is a reseller, like let's say Avesta. So Avesta cannot read it. They are only providing the direction between you and me, but they cannot read. The only guys who can read the data is the guys who have created it. So we take care of all these considerations, and that's why we are operating in 150 countries. Otherwise, it would have been a nightmare with so many different laws and bylaws of each country. Right? So I think that answers your question. Thank you.
So, Mr. Ahmed, the other question was for you.
حاليا يعني في هيئة الإعلام والإرسالات لديها وضع سياسة معينة لدعم الستارت اب خاصة. يعني ممكن بأنه أي شخص عنده بروجكت معين بالمستقبل راح يكون له دعم معين من الهيئة عن طريق وضع ويب سايت معين أو مثلا ابلكيشن أو كذا. من الضروري جدا بأنه مجموعة الشركات والمبتكرين الموجودين في العراق يجب أن على الدولة أن تحتضنهم، يعني بصراحة الشركة. نقطة رقم 1. نقطة رقم 2، الموضوع موضوع الستارت اب اللي موجودين بالعراق، اكو اعتقد عندنا في مشروع جديد راح يصير بسنه نهايه ال 23 او بدايه ال 24 على مؤتمر خاص يشمل جميع العراقيين الموجودين في الحكومه العراقيه، دعم المليون مبرمج، يعني تستقطب المليون مبرمج، فهو مؤتمر عالمي راح يصير تقريبا في العراق. ومن اللي موجودين نقدر نستثمر اللي موجودين اللي هو المبرمجين على المستوى الجيد، ممكن بأنه الدولة تستفاد من عندهم أو الشركات اللي موجودة اللي راح تدعم هذا المشروع بأنه يستفادون من المبرمجين الموجودين. هذا على مود يعني ما راح نخسر المبرمجين ولا راح نخسر الملكية الفكرية. ممكن بأنه هذول يعني بدل ما يستخدم فكرة سرقة الأفكار، لا الدولة تحتضنهم والشركات تستفاد من الأفكار اللي موجودة عندهم.
Thanks a lot. So I think any other comments? It's the last day of HITEX. I'm sure everyone wants to have the last tour inside this amazing exhibition. So I want to take the last comment from you, Mr. Dara. What do you advise for the entrepreneurs which they want to invest in tech section?
I think I'll go back to the point that I made previously. For entrepreneurs, there's really not much point in being afraid whether the ID will be stolen or not. If there's a unique ID, if it has potential, if there will be market demand on it, they should go ahead with it, and the rest will come. Because if they will not convert this ID into a reality, IDs will remain IDs. The legal system is there. The infrastructure or the foundation of the rules and regulations are there. But usually protecting intellectual property take a very long time. So they should go ahead with implementing and publishing their IDs.
Okay, thank you very much. So what is your last comment on the subject, Mr. Kalyan?
Right. So, as my colleague has
sorry.
informed, don't be scared about your ideas. Most important thing is protect your ideas, right? And as once again is advised, publish it. Make sure that your idea is protected in the right legal way, right? If the Google founders who haven't gone to their professor and told their idea and they won't have registered it, there was no Google for you today, right? And the same thing with Facebook. And I'm sure all of you access Netflix and you're to watch something called as the $1 Million Code. Have a look at it, right? Two ideas can be same, but the guy who wins is the guy who registers it first.
Amazing. Yeah, and this music adds more adrenaline to the panel. We love it. Thank you, guys. Here we go for the last but not least.
طبعا شكرا جزيلا لهذا الحدث الجيد، وشكرا للحضور الموجودين هنا، ونتمنى بأنه تتكرر في مثل تلك المحافل اللي تخص تكنولوجيا المعلومات. شكرا لكم وشكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much. I am so honored to have this beautiful conversation with you. Thanks a lot, dear audience.